All right, first try, Dave, you think?
Believe in yourself.
I don't know how I did this last time. That's actually crazy. All right, it's gonna take a few attempts.
This is the entrance to a trail called Time Killer on Sumas Mountain, and it is quite possibly my favorite trail entrance in the entire world, and also probably my favorite trail feature in BC.
That is crazy.
There aren't many features that look impossible at first glance, but after some practice, become more and more rideable.
That was bad. High left is good if you have the power, high right is good if you have the balance.
Whoever built this entrance, you are amazing. If I were to bet, this was put in to prevent moto access, not as a rideable feature, but damn it if Dave and I aren't going to try and clean it today.
Okay, that line and commit.
So there's a lot to take in on first glance. Basically, there's a giant pile of rocks just over 2 meters high with a pretty tight entrance and a pretty technical exit.
There's a good 4-foot deep hole here. Leg size.
As I see it, there are 2 lines. Enter on the right and straight up to the left. We'll call this Dave's line.
That was not the move.
Or enter on the left and cut up to the right. We'll call this my line. Each of these 2 lines has some pretty distinct pros and cons, and let's go through them right now.
Can't get up the start now.
Dave's line is much straighter overall. You're much less likely to be bounced offline, and you avoid touching the trail sign entirely. Staying high left at the top leaves you more space to open up the exit corner and avoid hitting the stump after the rock. But this line ascends the rock quite steeply and doesn't leave you much room to put the power in. It requires you to hop up 2 large steps immediately that are too short to put in a pedal stroke, and you can't go too quickly or you'll catch your front wheel and go over the bars.
Just touch of moisture. It's making it pretty hard.
This means that you have to have a lot of explosive power over a very short and accurate distance after the steps, or you need to have insanely good balance. Thankfully, Dave is a world-class trials rider and has his balance game on lockdown.
Yes!
I'll link his YouTube channel below in the video description.
That was awesome.
My line is quite different to Dave's. It involves entering quite far to the left at the beginning and avoiding the second large step that Dave goes over.
I just need to give her. That's it. I just need to put the power in.
You then have to turn to the right and manage to put down as much power as possible over the very chunky, shallower section before hopping up the crack of despair up to the rock spine on the right. I prefer this line since I know that I'm decently good at putting down consistent power through exceptionally rough sections of trail, and I'm no stranger to having a big hop up the ledge at the end of it.
Oh, okay, I'm starting to trust it. We're getting close. Yeah, this is gonna work.
The hardest part about my line is that you tend to get bounced around a lot during the right turn after the initial step, and it's a pretty big toss-up as to what direction that you're pointed in after that.
That was the worst yet by far.
You basically just hope you get bounced into a good line, where you're able to put down some power, and hopefully not make any further corrections.
That was pretty close.
Thankfully, there isn't a ton of precision required with the hop to the top, and I've made this line work anywhere from being in the crack of despair, all the way up to being on top of the extreme right rock spine.
Okay, I'm getting it. I understand now.
The odds of getting through without some sort of crank, pedal, or chainring strike are pretty slim, but it's worth every hit if you end up cleaning it. Dave's line is probably going to be a fair bit more consistent than mine, since he doesn't get bounced around as much, but I'm an exceptionally stubborn individual who's going to stick to his guns and prove that this will work a second time. Of course, there are also 2 other lines worth mentioning, but in my opinion, they're much more difficult. The first is entering on the left and staying high left, which requires a slight turn, power to be put down in an even rougher section, and makes the move to the top even more off-camber. I think it's probably doable, but your power application has to be absolutely perfect, and you need the right bounce into the right line.
The
last option is entering on the right and staying high right, and I think it's probably the hardest line.
I think I could pedal up that.
This basically eliminates any possibility of pedaling halfway up, so you'd need some crazy entrance speed for the final ledge hop. I think this line is also possible, but certainly not by me.
This is a bike length hop.
Bruh. This section reminds me a lot of the riding I did growing up out east, where trails were often very slow, extremely technical, and relatively low risk. The GoPro effect is very real, and this section makes double black trails like Bent Rim at Hilton Falls feel like a blue square XC racetrack.
Although that time I figured something out. Just take speed into it.
For those of you in the know, I would put this section on par with the third sister. So Jeff, Danny, Dan, Dad, Mike, Steve, Bob, Barry, and Gary. I'm sure you guys would love to pick this one apart.
I mean, once I get there, it's easy. Oh, except the stump.
So why am I so stoked on this specific feature anyways? And why do I think it's worth a full video?
That was not it.
Well, for some reason, this style of riding is extremely rare on the West Coast. At least where I've explored. Sure, places like the North Shore, Squamish, and Whistler have a vast array of world-class, amazing technical trails, but nothing quite like this.
Oh, come on.
There's just something special about a trail that tests the limits of your bike handling abilities, with no exposure to worry about, and no major potential consequences. I've also heard rumors that a few local honchos have cleaned this section, so I'm going to call out a few people who I think can do this, and I'd love to see a video of you cleaning it. So Ricky, Michael, and Owen, I want to see what you got.
Although, I learned something there too. Yes.
Actually, to make this even a little bit more interesting, if you record yourself cleaning this section of trail from the road to just past the stump after the rocks on a mountain bike,
I don't know the difference.
I will personally e-transfer you money for beer and ice cream. A few hops are okay, but no dabs are allowed. And no dangerous Daves either. So get out there, get practicing, sharpen up your low-speed tech skills, and hopefully you can clean this section as well.
I'm gonna come in from the other side. Try something here, freshen it up. Oh, come on. Woo! That was pretty good. All right, I will take that. This is, I think, my chain ring.
Like, you didn't cut back at all.
I was way up here. Woo!
Go, Dale, go! Clean! Gnarly.